All right, so we got the jump here. I'm going to go over the first few minutes of the game. Keep in mind, I don't have my big arrow turned on, but I'm sitting just over here with our guy Mendoza, our guy Jeremy, and our guy Greg. And the first few minutes of this game really threw me for a loop. I'm not going to lie to you. We do have a tendency to have some slow starts, but because I was so locked into the conversation, I didn't get to fully appreciate just how this game went. Now I'm using this game and not, we've had a win and a loss since this. But I'm using this one because I was there. I think more people were at this one than the other two games, unless you are a big Harry Potter fan, which is great. But also Stanford played zone, and I think playing against a taller team and a smart team that knows how to play zone gave us some trouble. So I'm just going to let this play and stop when it's appropriate. But I just really didn't think Stanford had any of this in them. They had lost some games that I didn't think they should have lost, but they did. So whatever. But the problem with Stanford, in those games they lost, I want to say they lost maybe to like Cal Poly or something like that, some smaller teams, is those games were like 97-89. So when you think about it, like they are a team that actually scores or has been scoring a pretty high number. It's their defense that's been lacking. So if they come out in a zone and stifle us at all, that's the ball game. We're not going to get that far in the tape, but there I am. There's Mendy, there's Jeremy, there's Greg. We're not going to get all the way to the end, but there was a point where we were down like 13, and we had some momentum. Like I want to say it was like 82-79, something like that. And I told Mendoza, I was like, look, it feels like we have a lot of momentum, but there's like 4 minutes left, meaning I think we need to keep Stanford under 87 if we want to win, which means they can only score like 3 more points. And all of that was a depressing thing for everyone to hear as it played out. I think he respected the acumen, but also it was just true. So that team was going to score that number. And the problem is in this first 7 minutes, we did not keep pace at all. And then the rest of the game was just a claw back to reach our number, which I'm not sure we have one yet. Like, I don't know what number I'm like confident we're always going to hit on offense, especially because of the zone. So first play of the game, they run a high ball screen. They don't even have good spacing here. But this is just like not good positioning. Now, I'm going to assume that this is miscommunication because he's playing it like send this guy down. And I don't think that's bad because you have this side of the floor stacked. What you don't want to do is give up all of this real estate. Although these guys are close, he's going to keep moving. So, do with the ball, gets into the pressure point. He started here. He has a drop back. Sissoko has a drop back. Now look at this space for the shot. It's not really rocket science. It's just, okay, how are we having miscommunication like that on the first play? I'm not going to stop this one because we're used to seeing these. The kind of unforced turnover that leads to a bucket. You can see me here being like, look what's going on. Look what's going on. The big man Reyno, I think he's on the French national team. He's obviously in a class of his own. He reminds me of, some of the old good Stanford big men. But these are things, right? Like these are small things, but if I was coaching NBA basketball, which is not college basketball, it's distinctly different, but the principles here are similar, which is that you never want to have your baseline elbow as the contact point on a guy. Now, if his back was to Sissoko, he could just spin baseline on him. That's one of my favorite moves. But without the spin, that means his strongest point is stopping the baseline, but you also have it's hard to score in this area. It's much easier to score if you let someone in here, and when you have a foot giving that direction and an arm giving that direction, someone tends to take it. Now, Reyno does a whole series of moves here, but No, he just went straight up. Different play than I thought. But that's kind of, with a point, too, why you don't keep that baseline elbow on. Because if you watch, why did Sissoko rip his arm? Like, it could have been called a foul. In the NBA, it might have been called a foul. But I'm not even saying this is horrible defense. But if this arm is up now, if this arm is up now and this foot is closing, and that foot's about the same, well, this guy doesn't have a lot of space to work. He's just going to go, right. And he also can't do this sweep move. Because as soon as he does it, Sissoko's arm, which was connected, has to come off. We're just lucky we didn't get a foul. And that's just as a good shot. No, I'm not sitting here saying that's just horrible defense either. Like, let's not get it twisted. That was pretty good. That was a good shot. But what you're kind of seeing out of our guys, and you saw it during USC, and you're seeing it now with that Petritis play, is that we kind of do let guys do their moves to us. Perfect example. Like, again, we're going to see another ball screen. So this time he's screaming. So whatever he's screaming, I hope it's the right communication. Great. So he jumps this way. Mans is ready. Everyone's actually in pretty good position. Now keep in mind, Reno just hit a 3, so he's probably going to be a little hesitant to get back. Now that first play, when the guard was coming over here, I said you don't go to this side because there's too much space. So right now we're in a good position because everyone's on this side. But why is this better? Not just because everyone's here, because I need to see this man hard stunt almost to the point where his foot touches. Now, unless this guy's just a great three-point shooter, but he's also not connected, right? In this position, he's not really going to do much. Like, the stunt worked, but it was just a stunt without the instinct behind it. I know it's a little unfair to critique college players on this stuff because, frankly, I wasn't doing any of this in college, and I was considered a pretty good defender. And, I'm talking like high-level stuff here, but first of all, you just don't want to get double crossed up. Like, I hate to blame Ola Joseph for this, but the whole reason we're sending the guy this way is because he's here, and this is the last man in defense. So Petritis, being a steals guy, reaches, and now this guy's got the path there. But I would like to see a world where Ola Joseph, after that first stunt, the ball went back. He needs to drop back into this spot. Now, he's one pass away, but he was one pass away before. So either he's not this great of a shooter and he doesn't need to be denied, or he does. But either way, in this position, nothing's really happening. He could pass it to him pretty easily. And instead we get Blackshear does all he can do there, which is that's his job, is to do that stunt. And they get the layup. It's crazy because, again, none of this is like horrible defense, but it's just easy enough. The communication is just bad enough to give up everything. Let's go over this one too. Why not? Okay, so on that, you had the dribble drive, and Sissoko got all the way under the basket. Ola Joseph rotates out to what I believe is Reno, so that should be Sissoko's man. So this is just normal basketball rotation. I want to see him go there. Looks like he's ready to catch and shoot, so maybe a little closer. But again, it's a scramble after the drive. Blackshire's going to run out here. It's a mismatch, but 30 feet away from the basket, no one cares. And Sissoko has to locate the fifth man, which he doesn't do. So, if this was a zone, I'd be really happy with it. But in this case, no. He just zoned up to nowhere. Now, again, I can't blame individuals when I don't know the scheme. There could be a whole host of things that they practice. Maybe guards always switching out to guards, and he's always supposed to take a big man. And, these are hard things to know. What I do know is 14-4. And so these are things that we actually did a little better last season. And that sounds weird. We have so much better talent on an individual basis, top to bottom. At least just even healthier, like deeper bench, all that. But that talent comes with a bit of a sacrifice, and that's that it just takes time for some of these small things when you're really talented, because, I'm not going to speak on any individual player. I don't know what they do at practice, but I know that he's got a future doing other stuff, like dunking and making threes and playing, good individual defense. The time spent working on these little things is what separates a good team and a bad team. I just can't blame anything too sharply. It's just we got a lot of talent, and molding talent together specifically is just what's hard about sports. But as we can see here, this is actually going to be a blocked dunk, I believe. Yeah. So, my computer's starting to crash out on me a little bit. Okay, so on this particular play, though, Stanford is now in their zone. They're in a 2-3 zone. This is the last play I'll analyze, and I want to say, this is kind of everything right now. We got to figure this out. Now, our zone offense appears to be running a high ball screen. Sissoko's here, so the idea, if he didn't decide to go baseline, would be that we get Blackshear into this area, putting pressure on this guy to choose between covering the middle and getting out to Petritus. Maybe we get a shot there. And then when he does get here, we want Sissoko to roll so that this guy has to play both players and this guy has to make a choice. This offense does work sometimes, but it's hard. One thing about the zone offense last year that was really good from AMAC is that because he was so skilled with the ball, he was working in this area. In most 2-3 zones I played against that we've beaten, there's a guy here and there's a guy here in some form or fashion. If I can find footage of me doing so, I'll show you now. But it's really not rocket science. Every zone is basically beat the same way. So right now, this guy's coming over here to be in the 2-3. This is the screen. If this was Cal, I'd be coming up here to set this screen to get this man into this zone. But by doing so, I'm also not down here. So he would be dropped back just covering that guy, and he'd be covering that guy. But because I'm down, and the guard also has ability, as soon as he beats his man, this man's in a world of hurt. And it just looks easy, right? It looks like there's no defense. He puts his hand up all dumb, but this is important because without having someone who can direct traffic here, this is our option. We're running high ball screen against the zone, which again can work. Why I am a bit more biased against it is because it just wasn't the style that I could ever run. Every time I beat a team, it was doing it the other way. But we played against teams with great guards, like our team, who could navigate this and always make the right play. And right here, I believe, this is what you want. He got in the middle and gave that pass, and now you got one-on-one. The issue is it didn't go down. And we didn't get a foul also. But that's generally what you want. You want someone from this position making a pass. And until we get a 4 type of guy to do it from here to a high-low, it's just going to be difficult. All right, it's just going to be a lot of pressure on our guards, especially when we've been a little bit turnover-prone, stuff like that. So I think it's also worth noting that last year what I was saying is that it was clear we didn't play against zone in practice. When you're a man team, you're practicing against your defense, so you're practicing against man. When you're a zone team, you practice against zone a lot. When you never play zone, you rarely practice against it in an effective way. So I think we made that adjustment last year. Hopefully we make it this year. But it's going to be hard almost no matter what if a team is a 90-point team and we let them get 90 and they play zone. One of the two's got to give. We got to hold that team to 75 and we got to get to 80. And that's college basketball, baby. I guess I'll leave it there. Peace.